Hi, welcome back to the Barrel Proof Baseball podcast. Today's episode is awesome. I'm excited you're checking this out. I'm joined today by NHL goalie, Stanley Cup winner, Hall of Famer, Mr. Ed Belfour. Ed and his son Dayn join me, and they talk about their brand, Belfour Spirits. This one is actually a really cool bottle, and it's signed by Ed, so I'm really stoked about that. They sent me 2 samples. They sent me their bourbon and their rye, and they're both delicious. I want to try this, but I don't. I so badly want to open this up and drink this, but I don't want to because it's signed by Ed Belfour, and this is awesome. So I haven't made that decision quite yet, but I'm really excited to have it. I'm so grateful for Ed's generosity and the people that are working for Belfour Spirits that made this conversation take place. I'm grateful for Dayn jumping on here. What you're going to find from Dayn is, I don't know if I've talked to somebody that is so knowledgeable or passionate about whiskey. He educated himself about the process of making whiskey, and it's just been incredible. So I really enjoyed this conversation. I really appreciated their time, getting an opportunity to talk to somebody that excelled in their area of life and did it at the highest level. There's just nothing better than that. It's so fun to talk to people that have had an opportunity to excel the way that Ed did. And then for Dayn to be making the whiskey that he's making is just incredible. So check out this episode. Check out belfourspirits.com. If you find a bottle, pick up 5 bottles. This stuff is outstanding. It looks great on your shelf, and I really suggest grabbing yourself a little bit of the Belfour Spirits. As always, support for the Barrel Proof Baseball podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Now, Manscaped, right? Got the travel bag. They even sent me a new one since I'm old. It's a ear hair and nose hair trimmer. I don't know if they're trying to tell me something. I don't need it yet, but 40 is, it's hitting me pretty hard. So if I can get just for men to hook me up, that would be helpful as well. So we got some deodorant, we got some toner, we got the Lawnmower 3.0, which is waterproof. Right. We got an LED light on it. Go to manscaped.com, 20% off when you use the code BPB. In addition to that, walk-offs and whiskey. Okay. 10% off when you use the code barrelproofbaseball at walkoffsandwhiskey.com, and check those guys out on their Instagram page. Look in the links below. Bottomless Coffee. It's a subscription-based coffee program to make sure that you never run out of coffee. And if you're like me, you really can't afford to ever run out of coffee. So check out the Bottomless Coffee, check out the Amazon store, and check out, I forgot what else. There's something else. Go to the description below and look. And if there's something that looks interesting, click on it, buy it, help support the channel. If you're not interested, don't buy it, but watch the episode with Ed and Dayn Belfour. Hope you enjoy. Cheers. All right, Dayn and Ed Belfour, thanks so much for joining me today, guys. Really appreciate you jumping on here.
Thanks for having us, Tony.
So yeah, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
So Ed, I'd like to start with you. Kind of talk a little hockey. I mean, I'm, like I said a minute ago, not the hockey expert here, but obviously, I've seen enough of highlights of your career and know the things that you've done, but I'd like to hear a little bit about yourself, kind of growing up, getting into, your upbringing, and then heading into the University of North Dakota.
Yeah, so I grew up in Carmen, Manitoba, a little farming community of about 2,500 people. And, back then we had 3 TV stations to watch. So every Saturday night we would huddle around the TV and watch Hockey Night in Canada. Back then there was only six teams, the original 6. And my favorite team was the Blackhawks. So, it was pretty fitting and also a dream come true for me to play for the Blackhawks and sign with them in '87. But growing up in a small community like that, that's all we did was play hockey, 24/7. It was, street hockey and floor hockey and, river hockey. And, it was always to win the Stanley Cup, of course. And, it was a great place to grow up, and everybody loved sports there. And the school really revolved, around sports. We had some great teachers who, really promoted, athletics. I played a lot of other sports too. So I had a great upbringing with sports background with great people like Frank McKinnon and Brian Parker and Garth Collier and many others that, helped, create that competitive atmosphere that you need as a young kid. It just led to my competitive nature. I got to play junior hockey. I was a little bit of a late bloomer with the Winkler Flyers, who Dayn played for also. We won a high school championship with the Carmen Cougars. The funny thing about that is I didn't even make my high school team the first time I tried out for it.
Wow.
They cut me, and that could have been the end of my career right there. But I never gave up, and stuck with working hard, and I kept playing other sports. But I had a chance to play some really competitive hockey there with the Carmen Cougars and the Winkler Flyers in Manitoba, which led to a hockey scholarship with the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux, which that was only about 2 hours away from where I grew up. But it was a dream come true to play for the Sioux. And as a freshman, we won the NCAA. We were 40 wins, 8 losses, and they called our team the Dream Team. So a lot of great things happened there. And I was a free agent, undrafted. So I had about 6 teams that wanted to sign me. But the Chicago Blackhawks, my favorite team was one of those teams. So of course, that's who I signed with, was the Blackhawks.
Yeah, probably not going to go to another team if you got a chance to go play for your favorite team.
Exactly.
So now the juniors, is that's between high school and going to college?
Yeah. So junior hockey starts at age about 15, and you can play up until you're 21. I started as an 18-year-old and played 3 years. I was a 21-year-old freshman going into college, which is a little bit old.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a late bloomer, and I had 2 really good years in junior hockey. It was a Manitoba Junior Hockey League. It plays just in Manitoba, and then if you win your province, then you go outside of the province and play the other provincial champions. I had a chance to do that with another team, the Winnipeg South Blues, and we went to the Western Conference Finals that year, my 21-year-old year of junior, which really led to my offer for the scholarship at the University of North Dakota. So I was really fortunate to get that offer, being older. And like I said, it was a dream come true. And the Fighting Sioux, led by Gino Gasparini at that time, John Marks, who was a former Blackhawk, Dean Blaze and Kerry Eads. Again, they created such a great competitive atmosphere, and I thrive on that. So we went, like I said, 40 wins, 8 losses, and won the NCAA. And I still cherish that. I was only there 1 year. I signed with the Blackhawks right after that, but I cherish that year so much. As a home, a family. I go back there every summer, and I still do Sioux events and get involved with the school as much as possible. And we created a tribute bottle to the Sioux fans and all my Sioux teammates and coaches. It's a straight rye whiskey special edition, 106 proof. It turned out great. So, it sold out, I think, in 3 weeks in North Dakota, the minute it hit the shelves.
That's incredible. So you're one of 2 players ever to win an NCAA championship, Stanley Cup, and Olympic gold medal, right?
Yeah, Neil Broughton was the other one, and he happened to play for the Dallas Stars also.
Okay.
So, that's a huge accomplishment. I feel very lucky and fortunate to have that. But I was on a lot of championship teams. I played on a Canada Cup winning team, and like I said, a high school championship team, and some other teams that did really well. So, I've always been fortunate to play on those really competitive, well-coached teams in Chicago. We had Mike Keenan and Daryl Sutter, really hard-nosed, tough, competitive guys. We went to the finals with the Blackhawks in 92 and almost won the cup. We won 11 straight games to get there, and unfortunately we lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins, which were a little better team than us.
So, okay, Dayn, so talk about your experience kind of growing up and playing hockey and moving on into college. Was it Nebraska, Omaha? Is that right?
Yeah, Nebraska, Omaha for the majority of my college career, and I played 1 year at Wisconsin Superior as well. But I mean, hockey's all I knew. I grew up watching my dad play, and you know, not only my dad, but guys like Jeremy Roenick, who was my dad's teammate for the Hawks when they were in Chicago together, and Chris Chelios, my godfather,
Oh, wow.
and these are dad's best friends, and it goes to show you what type of a community hockey players are. Um, One of my dad's best friends, Chris Chelios, is my godfather. So I was born, into the game knowing that that is life, and there nothing else matters. Basically, you're on the ice, you're in the locker room with all the guys. You got the best game you're playing every single day, and you work hard, you play hard, and you grow up. And it's kind of like I really like to compare it to almost like a gladiator's mentality. It's a game of honor, and it taught me everything I know about life. And having your dad be Ed Belfour, like he's the best freaking goalie in the world. So I had the best teacher,
Hmm.
hands down, and that's how I learned to play the game. All I did was I just watched him. I tried to be like a twin, do everything
Sure.
dad does, move this way. Oh, dad put his blocker down here. Oh, why did he do that? Oh, dad put his blocker in somebody's face. Why did he do that? Oh, okay, I understand now. Oh, I'm learning here, So
Sure.
so like that, I had the best of everything growing up playing
Great
hockey.
resource. Yeah.
Yeah. So Christ, I played junior hockey for the Winkler Flyers. Same team dad played for, and went to Nebraska, Omaha. Absolutely love playing college hockey there. Omaha is probably one of the most underrated cities, I
Yeah.
think.
Great
They don't
town.
have professional sports, so they've got Creighton basketball and baseball, and they've got Nebraska, Omaha hockey, and they've got a great soccer program, men's and women's there. And then you got the Cornhuskers that are football in Lincoln within 45 minutes. So me playing college hockey, I mean, we were freaking stars, man. Like it was so cool playing, like I'll never forget playing college hockey. That's got to be some of the most fun I've ever had. Playing hockey was college hockey. You got your whole student section freaking screaming and
Oh,
just
I bet.
hooting and hollering the whole game, cheering the guys on. And it's just such a emotional reflection. It's an honor to be able to make that kind of a level to play D1 college. And I thank every day for having that opportunity.
That's great, man. I think college sports are so much fun. I think people that skip it, they don't. I don't know if you really can put a finger on just exactly how great that atmosphere is. But try to
Completely.
manage especially as a young man, like you're trying to figure out how to manage your time. Your social, uh, wants, I guess you'd say, and then manage it with trying to
Absolutely.
be good at your sport. It's not
Absolutely. It
easy.
was it was unique trying to balance the social reflection of college, and then also be an athlete and also be an individual educational wise, making sure you're keeping your standards high, and so you can compete and actually play. You got to stay eligible. Um, I know I know if dad could do it, I could do it. Dad stayed eligible. I can do it. And I wasn't much of a school guy, but you know, I got to tell you, Tony, that's really where I started learning about spirits was in college. And,
Mm.
I worked in the service industry. It's priceless, but I used to choreograph the lights to the dance floor at a nightclub in my spare time. And
Nice.
that was where my mind became so hospitality, service industry, hospitality is the name of the game. But I get to try some of the most badass single malts out there and the badass
Right.
bourbons and the ryes. And I was drinking with one of my dad's or one of my teammates' dads, and he turned me on to scotch. Glenlivet, Morange, and Fiddick 18-year. Those were my first three comparative whiskeys that I went after. And I ended up writing a paper on the business of alcohol later on in my last year of college. And and then came home, and that's where Dad and I were like, well, hey, this could be a really cool business to go into.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Let me cut you off.
No, that I think you got to ask Edward about that, because I did write that damn paper, and you know, I was in school to play hockey, but the social side of the game and, you know, my work side of my lifestyle in college is actually the industry we're now in. You know, that entertainment business in a sense, and, you know, the alcohol industry. So kind of a silver lining moment for me to transition from, you know, my endeavors in professional sports and hockey over to whiskey. And I think Dad and I have always been professional drinkers, you know, when it comes to beer and bourbon and rye, and, you know, like, it's just such an art form.
I'm kind of curious, Ed, a couple things here about hockey that I think would probably transition into whiskey. But for one, you know, you, like you said, you went undrafted out of college, you get an opportunity to sign with your favorite team, eventually become the rookie of the year. And, you know, what does that do for you as somebody who is now, I mean, does that add a different or new motivation of going undrafted and now you're playing for your favorite team? I mean, what's that motivation level like for you, you know, transitioning into professional hockey from college?
Well, I think, you know, looking back on it, you know, I was always very competitive and confident, but, you know, never giving up on your dreams, and you know, having that attitude where you put your mind to doing something and you just go for it. You know, that's what I did with my hockey career. And, you know, I had lots of people say, well, you're undrafted, you're not very good. You don't even have a goalie coach, you know, you got this bad habit, you got that bad habit. But you know what? I didn't let that get me down in any way. It actually motivated me that much more to prove people wrong. And, you know, I try to apply all the things that I learned, you know, playing, you know, for the University of North Dakota, for playing with the Blackhawks, the Dallas Stars when we won the Cup in '99, the Maple Leafs. You learn so many lessons along the way. There's always, you know, a mountain to climb. There's always things that happen that set you back, but you never give up and you keep learning every day. And that's what I tried to apply, you know, to my career, was to learn every day and get better every day. And all those things that I learned, you know, I try to teach, you know, my kids, and I try to teach our staff at Belfour Spirits. You know, it's never going to be easy. We have to work hard for everything we get. And, you know, we're going to work every day at trying to make Belfour Spirits a better spirits company. We are always trying to make our whiskeys taste better. You know, we try to do everything we can with social marketing and social media, and you know, get out there and meet people and do tastings. And it's such a great feeling to see success in both sides of that. You know, winning the Rookie of the Year, like you said, you know, I still remember my speech after winning all those awards, and I could hardly even get the words out. I was so emotional and so happy, and it was just such a fabulous night. And you know, you feel the same way when you see people, you know, giving your spirits that you just made and spent the last 3 years aging, and you win awards, and you get, you know, people talking about it, or someone just tries it for the first time and they're like, oh my gosh, wow, that's unbelievable. Like they can't believe how good it tastes. So those are great feelings to have, and that's what motivates me and every day, and our team to get even better and bring more spirits to our fans, and you know, to our followers. And as we grow our brand, you know, that's what we're going to do, is follow that model.
One of the things, I was trying to look up some information, and I know a lot of people spoke about you with your preparation, you know, in playing hockey, whether it was your skates or your equipment. You know, what's that like in terms of being sure, for one, making sure you're prepared on a daily basis to go play, whether it's physically, mentally, you know, and from a hockey perspective, I'm curious, like scouting, like looking at the other team, you know, how much of that went on? And I promise all this is going to circle back to whiskey later on, but
yeah, for sure. You know, I was very detailed. You know, I'm very hands-on with all my equipment. You know, there were times that we would take a hacksaw and cut it all in pieces and see what's inside. And, you know, let's change this foam piece to that and make this one harder, make this one softer so we can control rebounds better. We designed, I'd say probably 80% of our equipment. And then I designed a skate blade that was removable from the boot. Probably one of the first designs on the market. What that allowed us to do was change blades out with different profiles. So you'd have different pitches, different rockers, different angles, different hollows on the blades. I learned how to sharpen my own skates so that, I could put all that research and development. Once I sharpened the skate and went out on the ice, I could tell, oh, well, that made a change. I feel better this way. I'm more forward or I'm more balanced. All these things that I did with my skates helped me play better, which led to more wins. For me being hands-on with all my equipment, the lies on the sticks, all that stuff come into play for success. And, I look back on it and it's really helped me again, with my direction when we make whiskey. I'm really a intricate part with all the wood selection, the barrel aging, the toasting, the charring. All those details, come into play with that make the rye and the bourbon taste great. I learned that all from being the way I am with my hockey equipment. I watched a lot of tape and a lot of video, not usually so much about individual players, but you'd watch yourself and you watch your team and how they played in front of you. You learn from your own mistakes. And, sometimes you don't know why a goal was scored. You go back and watch. And, I always tried to watch myself. And, of course, there are certain players that you always try to pay attention to, like Brett Hull when he was, playing for St. Louis. He was a sniper. And I always tried to watch his tendencies and, pay attention to, the places he liked to shoot from. They were always helpful. So video definitely came into play. And that was at a time when, video wasn't a big deal. But I saw the advantages of it. And, now I know they got iPads on the bench and they're looking at, replays, right on the bench at times. So obviously we didn't have that. But I'll tell you a funny story. It was in the playoffs, I think in 93 maybe. And it was right at the point where they started putting cameras in the nets. But they didn't tell us that they were going to put a camera in the net. So I had this big piece of, I think it was like head iron steel wrapped around the camera. And I was skating, up to the net. And I'm like, what in the heck is in my net? And I see this thing in there. I'm like, Chris Chelios. I'm like, Chelly, what is this? And he's looking at it and we're trying to figure it out. And we're both like, we got to get this thing out of here. So there's Chris Chelios smashing the crap out of this camera. It was in the net. By the end of the warm-up, I think we had the thing all in pieces. And, we were told later that was the new cameras that they had designed for the net. And, that's the part that we didn't quite understand, about the game at that moment. But it sure is pretty cool, as time went by and we could see all those new angles of, how the puck was, scored on and, how, sometimes it wasn't a goal when they call it a goal. And, it's pretty neat to be part of that.
Have you seen, how much have you seen the game change? I guess, Ed, from your perspective, playing at that level, and then like Dayn, having seen it from your perspective growing up and to where it's at now, like how has the game changed?
Well, definitely a lot of new rules. Like the game that I grew up in was a rough and tough, intimidating game. Guys used to get sick before the warm-up because they were so nervous about what was going to happen in the warm-up. Back then, you'd have, Detroit's or St. Louis's or Minnesota's tough guys skating around, eyeing our tough guys up. And all it took was one guy to shoot a puck, across the center ice line at someone's skate or, at our net. And there was going to be a brawl on. And it happened a lot of times. We'd have 10,000 fans show up for the warm-ups because they knew how intense warm-ups were. And back then, you could dress if I remember right, there was about 26 guys on the ice for warm-ups. And there were guys that were actually trying really hard in the warm-ups because the lineup wasn't decided until after the warm-up.
Wow.
And so you had guys actually working really hard in the warm-ups so they get a starting position for the game. And so warm-ups were really intense. There was really no, talking with the other team and smiling and, just kind of goofing around out there like you see happen in today's game.
Sure.
It just didn't go that way. It was a rough and tough game, and there was a lot of fighting and a lot of hitting and a lot of things that, really went on that were, kind of, I guess, went towards the rough and tough players and the guys that were a little bit soft. They would kind of shy away from those types of situations. Now, if they were scoring a lot of goals, like Wayne Gretzky did, they got protected. They had 3 guys out there on the team that were, there to protect the superstars on the teams. And they did a great job of, Dave Semenko and Marty McSorley and the other guys, they did a great job of protecting your superstars. And, we had guys on our team like Mike Peluso, who, he did a fabulous job in that regards. And, Bob Probert in Detroit. We had Darren Kimball, Greg Smith. We had a lot of great players on our team that were heart and soul guys that did everything they could to, not only protect those players, but they were like the cheerleaders of the team. They were your best friends on the team. They were so supportive. And in today's game, it's turned to pretty much a 90% skill game and a really fast skating game. Now, in the playoffs, they allow the players to hit a lot more, and you see that a lot more old style game. And I love the playoffs. It's back and forth hitting, and those games are a lot more exciting to watch than during the regular season where you get penalty after penalty called, and it's because somebody touched somebody. Sometimes Bobby Basson and I sit there and like, hit somebody, and then somebody does hit somebody, or even puts a stick on somebody and a penalty gets called right away. That can be a little bit frustrating to watch. And I think the fans get a little frustrated with it too, because, the fans, they love that old school tradition game where it's back and forth and hitting and there's some fighting going on. And, it's a, 1-0 game or 2-1 game. So I think sometimes the fans and some of the old school players can get a little frustrated with the new game, but hey, everything evolves and you just have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
I think it's coming back. I think the game's coming back. I grew up watching, let's put it to you like this, Dad. Chelly's Chili Bar, probably was about 5 or 6, 7 years old. I straight up remember cross-checking Jacob Suter right across the chin while we were playing, just shinny hockey, ball hockey. I was 7 years old, and I'm like, boom, like, get out of my face, dude. Like, I don't care. I'm here to play and win. Like, that's how I learned. So as my career progressed, I came from the understanding of hockey was rough and tough. And then I saw, talented players. Like I played with a guy by the name of Alex Simonson, and he was my roommate. He's a Grand Forks, North Dakota boy. And this player was so skilled. He played for the Chicago Steel in the USHL. He had one of the best shots. He was a total sniper. And, he kind of never really got a sniff. Because he wasn't the right type of skill, because he was also rough and tough. Those tough guys, they're really great hockey players. And, you got to understand that the tough
look
guys.
At Gordie Howe.
Yeah. Like, does anybody remember Gordie Howe?
Mark Messier.
Yeah. Mark Messier. These guys are freaking pit bulls out there on the ice, and they can score goals and they can freaking knock your teeth out. Oh, okay. That sounds like hockey to me. Now, I'll call it like Don Cherry. I just don't like seeing a sissy game played. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's a rough and tough game. And that's how it's supposed to be played. You want to win? you're going to bleed for it. Simple.
It's hard, I think, because there's a lot of changes in baseball right now. And baseball's not hockey, obviously, but there was a physicality even in baseball, and in the 90s especially, and before then, that's not there. Whether it's the rules to protect infielders or catchers from collisions or slide rules or whatever it is, and then the implementation of more technology, injury prevention. And now you're talking about guys that are, because at first when they got rid of the rule that you couldn't run catchers over at the plate, as a catcher, I'm going, come on, like bring that back.
Yeah.
But you're talking about guys that are making a ton of money, and the GMs are like, dude, we're not losing that guy to a stupid collision at home plate. So I get it, but I do enjoy watching baseball from the late 80s.
Yeah, God, I feel that too there, Tony. I get it, man.
I'm curious, Ed, and again, like I said, this is going to circle back to whiskey, but your number changed from 30 to 20. Can you talk about that? It was for Tretiak, right?
Yeah. So
what was the impact he had on you?
When I got traded from Chicago to San Jose, I switched to number 20, and that was because of Vladislav Tretiak, who was my goalie coach with the Chicago Blackhawks. And he was also like one of my heroes as a little boy playing up. Tony Esposito and Ken Dryden and Rogie Vachon were all my favorite goalies that I had a chance to watch in the NHL. But Vladislav Tretiak was a very famous name for all of us young kids from the 72 Summit Series, when the best players from Canada played against the Red Army team, who had won, I think at that time, 10 world championships or something. And Tretiak was touted like as the best goalie in the world. And, I had a chance to play in front of Vladislav before he became my goalie coach. And I knew he was in the stands, and I just wanted to get a shutout so badly. I didn't get a shutout that game, but we won 2-1, and I think we got outshot like 50-10. And he came into the locker room afterwards, and he's got this huge hands, and came up to me and he's shook my hand. He says, "Good game." And I was just like, in heaven hearing that come from Tretiak's mouth, and then about 6 months later, he became my goalie coach with the Blackhawks. Mike Keenan hired him, and it was just awesome to have Vladislav around. And, he was on and off the ice. He's such a great hockey ambassador for the NHL, for hockey in general. He stops and signs autographs for kids, and he had all these excuse me, he had all these goalie schools for goalies, and he had them all over the country, and he would teach these kids, about 8 hours a day. He was coaching kids that were anywhere from ages like 7 or 8 years old, all the way up to 30, 40-year-olds would come to his goalie school. And Dayn and I went to his school, and you learn so much from Vladislav. He was a big, part of why I lasted so long in the game and played at such a high level. He pushed me so hard, and I'll never forget that, and so thankful for him. And that's when I switched my number when I got traded to number 20.
That's awesome. I love it. Dayn, last hockey thing, because I know I want to get into some whiskey, but Dayn, who is if you're around your dad, you're around those teams, like who is your guy? Like, who is your favorite player, or who is the one that you ever got starstruck around somebody?
Tony, that's a great question. I got to see, Dad's teammates throughout my career on every team. And, like I said, from the start, I grew up in this, and it was just a family. I'd been playing in the NHL from the time I was like 12 years old, when I got to go on the ice and skate with the Stars, man. And, Holly's ripping shots at me, and Luds is shooting on me, Mo's shooting on me, Carbo's shooting on me, and Brian Scrudlin's shooting on me. And then I go to Toronto with Dad, and I'm on the ice, and I got Gary Roberts blasting my collarbone right open with a slap shot that I'll never freaking forget about. All the guys that I've gotten to meet and play with and just reflect off of their style of gameplay in the game of hockey, it's everybody, and out of everybody, there's always a certain few, and it's always the enforcers. And there's something about a relationship between a goalie and, the enforcers of the team, the tough guys of the team, because like Dad was talking about, you guys had Wayne Gretzky out there who would go out and score 100 goals, but you also had, Tim Hunter and Semenko fighting over to protect that, that fella. So the rough and tough guys, I'll never forget, for example, Dave Manson, he played with Dad in Chicago for a little bit, and then also played with Dad in Dallas a little bit. And that guy was, his nickname was Charlie Manson, and like because he was he was the killer out there. But I mean, I know that because I freaking grew up in the locker room, and that guy protects everybody. Guys like Wade Belak, God rest his soul, he's not around anymore, but he was a tough guy that freaking babysat me for 2 weeks when I was 13, 14 years old in Toronto, and my dad and his wife at the time were out on vacation. Like, it's everybody. It's guys like Chelly, it's guys like JR, it's the freaking goddamn all-stars of the game, and it's just for the love of the game that these veterans try to instill into the next guys coming up.
That's great.
And that's hockey.
Sure. Ed, last one for you. Your Stanley Cup '99. What's that like? I mean, I think every kid playing baseball growing up, you always put yourself in that position when you're out in the front yard or some sandlot, like playing baseball, and you put yourself in that position going, all right, we're in the World Series, like bottom of the ninth, game 7, what's it like? Like you win the Stanley Cup. I mean, how is that moment for you? And then taking the cup to North Dakota.
Yeah. Like I said, growing up in Carmen, that's all we did was play street hockey, floor hockey, pond hockey, river hockey for the Stanley Cup. You're playing for it, as a kid all the time. And of course, you're playing in game 7 against, the north end versus the east end of Carmen. And, we had those games amongst one another, and, I'll never forget those days. And then, as you go throughout your career, and, we won the NCAA with the Fighting Sioux, and, that was friggin' amazing. And just an incredible moment that I'll never forget. And, I'm still in touch with all of my teammates from North Dakota. We're on a thread right now. There's like 24 of us on there. And, we talk to each other every week. It's great to talk to those guys. And then, making the NHL is a dream come true. And then, of course, you get the chance to play for the Stanley Cup. And, that was my goal, was to win a Stanley Cup. And, we came close, like I said, in Chicago. It was such a heartbreaker, but I learned so many lessons from that loss. And, getting to sign with the Dallas Stars in '97, Bob Gainey had put together, the makings of a great team, and a championship team that had the possibility of winning a cup. And that's why I signed there with the Stars. I took less money to go there, but for me, it was about winning the cup, not about money. And, we worked hard at it. We definitely had some bumps in the road where we lost to Detroit in the 3rd round the year before. That was a tough loss. I didn't play great or as good as I could. I took responsibility for that, and I promised the guys that I'd be better the next year. And we went on to win the Stanley Cup the next year. Now, that wasn't an easy road to win the cup. We had some tough games there, and especially in the 3rd round against Colorado, we were down 3-2. We had to come back and win in Colorado, and we did that. And then we won game 7 back home. So, that set us up with some great momentum going in the finals against Buffalo. And of course, playing against Buffalo, they had Dominic Hasek, and Dominic and I played together as rookies in Chicago. We started together. So there was some extra incentive there. He was always touted the better goalie over me. And that just, gave me that extra motivation that I needed to even play better. So, we went on to win the cup there in Buffalo in triple overtime. And I still remember the moment. I'll never forget it. I was watching, as Hully scored the goal, and then everybody jumped off the bench, but it wasn't clear if it was a goal or not yet. I was watching the refs, and it seemed like it was a goal, but I don't know. There was just that sense of, I better wait just a second. But then when Matt Vichuk starts skating towards me, and off came the gloves, and we met each other at the blue line there, I think in midair. And it's just an amazing moment that, all the hard work and all the, the training that you put in, and all the, the losses and the bumps in the road, they just paid off. And, it's just, tears in your eyes, and just, screaming for joy, and just an amazing moment. And then, afterwards, when you actually get to pick up the Stanley Cup and skate around with it, get the chance to hold it and kiss it. Just awesome. And then in the locker room after the game, and everyone's telling stories, and we're sipping on whiskey and drinking champagne out of the cup. And it's just a very special moment. I'll never forget. I'll cherish for the rest of my life. And, I got to spend that summer. Everyone gets the Stanley Cup for a day. In my case, I was lucky enough to get it for 2 days. I did take it to Grand Forks, North Dakota, to share with the Sioux fans, some of my teammates and coaches. And I think 6,000 people showed up at the
Wow.
UND gymnasium to see the Stanley Cup, take photos with it. They let us use the school bus, and me and some of my teammates from North Dakota and coaches got on the bus. We got to the border. I'll never forget this too. We get to the Canadian border, and the guys, border guards, come on the bus, and they're like, "Hey guys, where are you off to?" And they see the Stanley Cup sitting there in one of the seats, and they're like, "Is that the Stanley Cup?" They were just in awe, like, "Oh my gosh, we can't believe it, guys! The Stanley Cup's here."
Not expecting
And,
that
Let
one.
him in.
they ended up taking a bunch of photos with the Stanley Cup, and of course they knew who I was, because I always crossed that same border crossing at Netchie. And so the guys were so excited to see the cup. And then we went on to Carmen, Manitoba, and put the cup on display for all the small towns and communities for them to come visit the Stanley Cup. I think there was like 4,000 people that came,
Wow.
from all the little towns around us
Sure.
to visit the Stanley Cup and see. We had a bunch of displays set up, of our journey, my journey to win the Stanley Cup. And, a good friend of mine, Buddy Voth, who was my manager at the time, he did all the setup for the parties and the events, and what a great job Buddy did. He was my teammate when we won the championship for the Carmen Cougars. And, what a great time we had. Jeff Friesen was there. His daughter designed the new eagle, which you see behind me. She actually was a little baby then. She sat in the Stanley Cup, and we got photos of her in the cup. And she's a big part of the eagle design. We're thankful for Abby Friesen. But that night we had a private dinner. My mom and dad were there. My sister, everybody was there. All my friends and close relatives, close by, teachers, and I got up and spoke for, I think, close to an hour. And some of my teachers came up to me afterwards, like, "Ed, I didn't realize you could speak that long." So they were pretty happy to be part of it. And we just had a great time. And next day after that, woke up that morning, I ate cereal out of the Stanley Cup at home. So, that was something special for me, eating cereal out of it with my mom and dad.
Wow.
And from there, we went back to Grand Forks. They let us use the private jet, and we flew to Meigs, downtown Meigs Field in Chicago. Got some great photos with the Stanley Cup, the limo, the jet, and the skyline from Chicago in the background. And we had a great party there that evening at the Hilton Palmer House. And we had about 800 people to a private dinner. There were some beautiful ice sculptures. Again, a lot of my friends and from Chicago and from Michigan, from playing in the minors, they all came to the party, and we partied till 4 a.m. in the morning with the Stanley Cup. And the cup boss, he's like, "Hey, Ed, I'm sorry, but I have to take the cup now and go to Michigan to let Darian Hatcher, our captain from the Stars, it was his day the next day with the cup." So just an amazing 2 days, that I had a chance to give back to all the people that helped me, throughout my career in Michigan with the Saginaw Hawks. That was the farm team for the Chicago Blackhawks. All my friends in Chicago that could make the party, and just a big thank you. So it was awesome.
What a great tradition. That's so cool. So, all right. I could sit here all day and listen to hockey stories, because I think we could probably go down some rabbit holes that would be a lot of fun. But I do want to talk about your whiskey, because Kelly sent me two of the 200 milliliters, and these are outstanding. It's really good whiskey. But I'm curious, because I think everybody that likes whiskey at some point goes, man, that would be so cool to have like a whiskey company. How do you go from being somebody who probably enjoyed whiskey to taking that plunge and saying, hey, let's actually do this, versus, hey, it's an idea, like Dayn, I mean, you're making whiskey now, but how do you go to that point where it sounds like a good idea to, we're going to take it from being an idea to like, we're actually doing this?
Yeah, well, like Dayn was saying, he did that paper in school on the spirits business. And so we were, that summer he was at home, and we were talking a little bit about his paper, and he was telling me about, what he was writing about and stuff. And, we just happened to be watching an episode of Moonshiners. Mm-hmm. And so we always got a good kick out of watching Moonshiners and those guys making moonshine, in the backwoods and stuff. And, we thought to ourselves, hey, you know what, why don't we make some whiskey? And so we ordered a still, and, the idea was to make our own whiskey for our own consumption and for our own friends. And we quickly realized it was highly illegal, and decided that we weren't going to make our own whiskey at that point. But so we went down the road of researching how to do it legally, and we didn't realize, all the hoops that we'd have to jump through to become distillers. There's so many laws involved, and each state is different. And but you know what, we started it, and once we put our minds to doing things, I always go back to my mom. My mom always told me, Eddie, if you put your mind to doing something, you can do whatever you do, and just never give up on it, and just, believe in yourself, and have a dream. And that's how I made the NHL. And, with our whiskey business, we started out small, thinking, we'll just make it for ourselves. And one thing led to another. And, I said to Dayn, if we're going to do all this work, and, go through all these avenues of trying to get the licensing, and we ended up going to school to learn how to make the juice in Canada, first of all, at the Canadian Institute of Distilling in Kelowna, BC. I said, you know what, we should do this, as a real business, and put our product out on the shelves for our fans and friends to enjoy. And one thing led to another. We ended up going to Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, and we met so many wonderful people in the business in Kentucky, like Peggy No Stevens, and Randy Allender, Don Rogers, and Don Hardwick, and so many others that helped us learn about this business. And now we have like 2,800 barrels of whiskey aging, and we've been on the shelves for a year and a half, and people love our whiskey. And it's because of the detail and the focus that we have on our business. We work every day, just like in our hockey careers, from the time we get up in the morning until we go to bed, we're thinking, we're working towards our whiskey business. And every one of our teammates is the same way. My daughter is involved in our business too, Dayn Belfour, and she does a great job, with all of our operations, and all of our organizing, and all of our monies, our banking. She does all that. So all of our team is involved from a day-to-day basis. Our head of sales, our head of marketing, and we got a great team. And that's what Dayn and I are used to, is being on a great team, working as a team. And I think we're so much further ahead with our business because we have that team mentality. We can't do it all ourselves, and we rely heavily on Mark Lonis, our head of sales, and Elizabeth Cornelius, our head of marketing, our sales team, Tony DiVenuti, Brian Rogers, and Nick Lazorko. They do a great job for us on the field, just visiting all the on and off premise accounts. Now, of course, with what happened over the last year with COVID, and we didn't give up. It was we had to make changes, we had to make adjustments, but we stuck in there, and we still were doing tastings whenever we could. And we learned that every person that you meet, that you put a smile on their face with your brand and they love your whiskey, they're going to tell 20 other people.
Absolutely.
And that's what we've learned about this business, and we just keep striving for that. Just keep working towards putting smiles on people's faces and creating great whiskey. And it's a lot of fun. It's the team environment, which, like I said, we love that environment.
Dayn, you mentioned like you were in the service industry before, and now, you go to, like you said, Moonshine University, and now you're really learning about, distilling and all the process that goes into actually making it. I mean, what's that like for you, like taking that jump from being in the industry, having some sort of knowledge of it, and now like you're really digging in, you're getting to know the details of it, the science of it, the art of it, matching them together to where you're really learning about making quality whiskey.
Absolutely, Tony. It's so relative because mixing cocktails and making cocktails is one thing, and serving drinks to people and being able to visit and promoting a good time all the time, that's why you go to bars and restaurants and you interact with families and friends, and my curiosity on to make other spirits, and how do we get the flavor profile of different spirits, how do we get something that tastes different, that's also a whiskey but tastes different than a whiskey that we made, mash bills, what Dad does with the barrel profile. We use 7 different cooperages, and we have 3 different bourbon mashes, and guess what, it's literally like trial and error, research and development, and that's what Dad and I get to do is, hey, I want to try this barrel profile, Dayn, with this mash bill. Let's toy with the proof points and see if we can really hone in and make this spirit that much better within its own integrity. And, we do that with 7 other cooperages. So each cooper has their own little flair and flavor profile that they implement on our mash bills. So you can really tell the difference from one cooper to the next. And just understanding that is a variable in how we, are presenting our flavor profiles to the drinker. I mean, that's freaking amazing. You can change the micron of the grain, and technically you'll have a better chance of producing more sugars during the cook, which turns into having more of an alcohol content to concentrate and distill. So it's like the most fun way to become a curious nerd or a geek, in an area that you don't know the answers just yet. But if you do this, and this in a controlled environment, hypothesis, you'll get that. And Dad and I are prepared to sit 2 to 4 years to figure out if we made one hell of a mistake or one hell of a party, if you know what I mean. So it's really so much fun. It's all about doing it together and having fun and making some good juice.
So what's as you get started, you make your decision, you're going to go, it's on, like you get your educational, process kind of done, or the beginning part of it, at least,
Yeah.
How does that start now? Do you have to start picking out grains and like you said, barrels, water? I mean, how do you get into that point where you're choosing what's going to go into what you're making?
Great question, Tony. A lot of this is discussion between Dad and I, touch and feel. We take samples progressively over time. As we try something new, we'll pull some samples at 6 months, we'll pull samples at 9 and 12. And then, after about a year and a half, that's when we'll really start honing in and pull samples, at a year and 3/4, then it's monthly. And then pretty soon, after 2 to 2.5 years, you're taking samples of a couple barrels that you've put hands on. You're like, oh, that one's going to be ready earlier than these ones over here. We got to pay attention to this. Oh, but this one's got a little bit of a different char level that Dad was toying with. So it might not taste as good in between the years 2 and 3, but might absolutely blow us out of the water at 4 to 6. And a lot of that is just Dad and I talking back and forth to one another, comparing and contrast what we have and what other whiskeys we like drinking. We're competitors, just like Dad said. You damn right we know how the freaking Toronto Maple Leafs are going to play against the Chicago Blackhawks. You definitely know that the New York Rangers are going to play different against the Boston Bruins when they do versus Montreal. It's no different than your spirits. How are these ones going to compete against each other in our same kind of a conference? Just like hockey, just like baseball, you got your rivals, and you're always trying to outcompete your rivals. And those guys are the ones that are making you better and helping you raise your own bar. And that's what's even better about the bourbon industry and the whiskey industry is everybody's pretty much close-knit, group of fellas and gals, and just trying to make better whiskey seems to be the common denominator between all of us. So that's where the fun comes into play, and Dad's curiosity, my curiosity, and Dad's ability to research and develop is second to none. I mean, that's like you made the comment earlier about his equipment. That's why we're so great, because he's like, Dayn, I'm going to throw a curveball now. What the hell is this going to taste like? And I just getting satisfied with where the proof points are and how they're going into the barrels. And he's like, no, I want to try these different barrels. We're going to do 300 of this kind. And I'm like, don't do that to me. So just between Dad and I, it's priceless.
And you guys, you've been distilling your own juice from day one, right? Or did you guys source to start out, or how did that work?
So what we have, Tony, is we have an incredible working relationship with a group at Woody Creek Distilleries, where I got my internship done at in Colorado, and in North Carolina with Pete and Vienna Barger, another mom and pop family owned operated business. They were just getting started in the production side of things. And we had a common denominator at the time in the financial role managing us, Don Rogers. He was their CFO, and he was ours as well in the beginning of Belfour Spirits. And that's really how the research and development and the need and desire to distill juice of our own came into effect, where these folks needed to make juice for people. Where I don't want to say it's like MGP, where you get this mash bill, which is just like a Coke dispenser. You get Diet Coke, you get Coke, you get Cherry Coke, you get Coke Vanilla. Pete and Vienna let me come in there and run distillation tandem with them when we're running our distillation as if it's our own distillery.
Nice.
Dad and I really didn't want to build a facility and not have the ability to make juice because all of our capital is tied up in just infrastructure. We did it backwards. We were like, hey, we know what flavor profile we're curious about, what we're after. Hence the internship and the 2 schools that Dad and I went to. We're like, why don't we just lay down some freaking barrels and have some juice so we can, get this show on the road inventory wise, build our facility a couple years down the road. That way we won't ever be worried about losing our flavor profile, because of quantity issues, which some places have had in the startup. It's timely manner.
Yeah. So what we did, Tony, is we created our own mash bills, and then like Dayn was saying, Southern Distilling there, we do contracting with them. They do everything to our specifications, and then we'll come in and we'll do all our tastings there, and we'll do our blendings there. Like I said, we've been on the shelves for about 1.5 years. We're getting ready right now to do a capital raise to build our own distillery. It'll be somewhere in Texas, most likely near Dallas. And we're really excited about that. So hopefully within the next 1.5 years, Belfour Spirits will be running its own facility. And you'll find Dayn and I there probably 24/7.
25/8.
Dayn always wanted to, a bunk bed at the arena where you could just stay there all the time. And, we said, well, why don't we do that at the distillery eventually?
Yep.
So we'll have a place there at the distillery for Dayn to stay overnight.
It's perfect.
That's great.
I've got the vision, everybody works their shift, and instead of everybody going home, we're just going to walk to the, back or courtyard of the distillery and fire up the green egg grill and start cooking some venison and elk and get some burgers going and get the party started after the shift and get the music going. It's so true. I think Dad and I could easily have lived at the rink our entire career, and the distillery is most likely going to be no different.
That's that sounds like the dream right there. Just living at the distillery, get a grill out back and you're good to go.
I mean, get the family and friends over, get the music going, and, get the hospitality, the service industry, we really want our place to be reflective to folks as, hey, that's the spot. We're going to go hang out at our flat. Well, where's the bar we're going tonight? We're going to Eddie and Dayn's distillery. We're going to right where all of the juice is made here. And that's going to be a really special thing for me because I love the service industry, and that's the hospitality side of me.
How much fun is that?
We want to have a great facility where people can come, go on whiskey tours, do a tasting, do a barrel dump, have a nice merchandise store with, lots of goodies for them to buy. We want to have some good food so people can come and eat there, and we want to have some live music. It'll be a great place to go and enjoy yourself and relax and smoke a stogie if you want to.
I will be making that trip. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll make that trip and bring cigars. I'm in.
Exactly.
How fun is that for you guys though, to be able to, like you said, mess around a little bit and go, hey, let's char this a little bit more, or let's add, a little bit of this. I mean, there's got to be some like intricate tinkering that goes on that would really change either the flavor profile or, either maybe speed up, slow down, whatever it might be. But how fun is that for you guys to be able to have that creative control over experimental processes of making the whiskey?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Again, it's like going back to hockey. It's like when we designed our skate blades, Dayn and I were trying, different pitches and, different rockers and different angles. And it was a lot of fun doing that too, because you could go out on the ice and you'd be like, oh, wow, that made a huge difference. Allowed me to stand up a little bit more, or, allowed me to move better. Well, the same thing with the wood, the barrels, the charring, the toasting, the type of barrels we use and the proof points that we work with coming off the still, going in the barrel, coming out of the barrel into the bottle. All those things, are fun to work with, and they're exciting. They're very creative, like you say, and they do create some really awesome tasting whiskeys. And that's what we've tried to do with, every one of our products that go on the shelf. We do a lot of development behind the scenes first before it ends up on the shelf. And we do a lot of tastings with that product before it ends up on the shelf, so that we make sure that everyone we try it with, they really love it before we put a label on it, put it in the bottle, and put it on the shelf. And so far that's been working out great for us, because I've heard so many people with our, Texas pecan bourbon, they try it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. How old is this? Is this 12 years old, 13 years old? We're like, no, it's 18 months old. They can't believe how young it is. And
I was shocked when I tried this, because to find out it was a wheated bourbon. I thought, because there's is that spice come from the pecan staves?
For sure. And the barrels we use.
Definitely.
I mean, I never, there's that smoothness there, like a wheated bourbon, but there's a little spice and smokiness. I was like, man, that's definitely unique. I mean, that is really good. And I never would have thought it was 18 months old.
Yeah, no, we're so happy with that product, and how well people have enjoyed it. And, we get a lot of people with our products, when we're doing tastings, like at a Total Wine, you get a lot of, just first off, people who come up and visit your brand. They never heard of it before. And they're like, well, I don't really like whiskey. I had a bad experience with it. And we're like, okay, we understand that, but this is a little different. Just have a little sip. If you don't like it, you don't have to drink it.
We'll
And they
drink
put it
for
to
you.
their lips and they're like, whoa, this is different. And they try the next sip, and the next thing you know, they're asking for a second sample, because of how smooth and easy it is to drink. And that's what we try to promote is, our whiskeys are really easy and smooth to drink and with a lot of flavor and, a lot of character. So that's what we strive for. And like I said, I'm so happy that it turned out that way. Our rye whiskeys are like that too.
Can you guys kind of take me through maybe some tasting on the bourbon? Because I've got the bourbon and the rye here, and I'm curious about for one the bottle. And I know it's probably a question you get a lot of, but the bottle itself, I mean, it's a beautiful bottle. How did that come about? First and foremost, how did the bottle itself come about? It's definitely cool.
So we wanted something that was very unique and wanted to have something that was going to have presence on the shelf. Mm-hmm. We love, the Roaring 20s from 100 years ago, the Gatsby era, Art Deco. So we designed our bottle after that era. Very party-like atmosphere, a lot of celebrating going on. We love to have fun. We're very social people and a very social family. So we want to promote that. Our brand is all about that. Again, we wanted to have that presence on the shelf when people are walking down the aisles of the liquor store and they see Belfour sitting there like, wow, that's a unique bottle. So that's the first thing, is to get noticed and seen on the shelves and on a back bar. It'll entice someone to try it. And then when they taste the juice, you got to make sure that the juice tastes great. So that's why we did a lot of that development, research and development behind the scenes, the tastings we do before we put it in the bottle, so that when someone grabs it and tries it for the first time, we want them to come back and buy it again or try our other products and promote our brand to other people.
Sure. So, okay, tell me a little bit about the whiskey itself, because like I said, this is really good. Like, I really like this.
Sure.
I'm hoping it gets to Arizona. I'm just telling you that.
Oh, I think right around the corner, we do have plans, absolutely, Tony, to get to Arizona. Give you a little bit of notes on the Texaco bourbon. It's a 46% spirit or 92 proof. Aromatically present on the nose, you'll find that roasted nutty aromatic presence there, and a mid body of a creme brulee butterscotch body, and a nice vanilla smoky finish with almost like a little bit of attitude of jalapeno spice on the back end. And we really love this drink. Thank you, Tony. We really love this drink. This is the 60-30-10, so the wheated bourbon, 60 corn, 30 wheat, 10 malted barley. And like Dad was saying, it's so different, it's so unique, it's so easy to drink. We really love this product, and here's why. We believe this product really bridges the gap from those clear spirit drinkers to the aged spirit drinkers, and folks who are maybe a little bit more on the novice or the amateur side, trying to get acquainted with aged spirits, aged bourbon and rye and single malts. I really love this product because it helps folks kind of break on through to the other side, Jim Morrison style, and get into frickin' bourbons, because like Dad was saying, there's such a maybe a lack of education or an understanding on what bourbons are, and what certain whiskeys are and what they could be. And there's such a harsh note, almost like a wild west, let's shoot whiskey, and it's gonna knock my frickin' boots right off, like in Back to the Future, for when that happened to Doc, and he drank the damn shot of whiskey and he just sent him flying across the room. Well, this product is so dessert like, and I will say our whole family loves pecan pie. My little brother will fight my sister over a pecan pie. So
I think this also kind of like fights that stigma of the young bourbons. Yeah, I think people talk or act as though a young bourbon, I mean, a year and a half is not a super aged, but there's also people who are going to go after bourbons just because they're aged and not really pay attention to the flavor profile it has. I mean, it's really good stuff, and it doesn't taste like it's a young bourbon.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, okay. So the other one that I have is the rye. And so tell me a little bit about this rye.
Dad, you want to take the rye or you want me to take the rye?
No, you go ahead, bud.
Okay. The rye is, so one more bump up in alcohol content. It's a 47% spirit or 94 proof. Now, what I love about this product is this is a 70-20-10 rye mash bill. And Dad came up with this mash bill. I wanted to do a little bit higher rye mash bill because I really like those natural, heavy hitting, peppery, spicy notes of the rye grain. But what Dad was suggesting when we developed this mash bill was let's influence the rye with 20% corn and 10% malted barley to really soften up those heavy, harsh, hot rye notes. So you'll find that it's very well balanced. It has some lovely dark chocolate, sea salt, and caramel on the nose, a mid body of brown sugar and sweet tobacco. And on the back end, it's going to be a full, robust experience. It's going to give you a very warm esophagus leading to a very warm belly. And after you ingest, give yourself a full inhale and an exhale. And the finish of the rye is what I love. It completely changes away from that brown sugar tobacco body and leaves you with the warming, soothing, pepperminty, refreshing finish that'll hold you very warm in the mid esophagus area for about 2 to 3 minutes.
It's a really nice finish.
Thank you. And that's the balance between, the mash bill, the balance between the yeast strain that we use, and the balance between the barrel profile that Dad, influences into the in with the White Lightning. What I love to focus on is if we make White Lightning or Moonshine or New Make or White Dog, if we make that right, and that's where I really try to stress my abilities on, is being able to taste kind of where we need to be coming off the equipment and taste where we need to go into the barrel at. If you can do that right, it just makes Dad's job that much better and that much easier, where his expertise is going to give you the matured product where 60% of the flavor profile is coming from what Dad does directly with those barrels. So it's really a TNT tandem, between us and the whole team. And we get to develop some really dessert-like experience like this product you got now. And I'm a rye guy at heart. So I just love the way that rye tastes. It's different than anything else out there on the market.
Yeah, that's really good. You have another rye, correct?
Yeah, I actually got the bottle right here, Tony. It is.
We have 2 other ryes.
Yeah.
Two, because I know one of them, Dayn, was like your first one that you did, right?
Yeah. My that's the straight rye that we have out there. It's the limited edition rye. It comes with the 1.5 ounce sterling silver jigger that resembles something that Dad may have won in 1999.
I was just say that's the one with the cup on top.
Yeah, that's the one with the cup.
I can't imagine those are floating around everywhere.
You know what? I want to say, I think I saw an email Mark sent out just this past week. I think he might have moved the last few cases, or there might be just a few floating around in circulation. Wow. We only made a total of 12 barrels of those. Oh, wow. And we only dumped 10 of them. So Dad and I and the rest of the crew are going to think of something really special to do with the last 2 barrels when it gets to be a certain age. And
well, we're supposed to be saving one of them for Canada if they'd ever open the border.
Yeah, but they won't let us go over and hang out with Grandma and Grandpa anymore. So I'd really like to have a home cooked meal with some rye whiskey up there.
Okay? So that was yours, like, right? That was the
first one we ever made. That is the direct reflection of the internship at Woody Creek Distillery.
You have one there, Dayn?
Yeah, hold on. Let me grab it.
I'm curious what that. Well, I want to ask Dayn, what's that moment like when it's done? Like that's done. It's ready to bottle and it's ready to get sent out. Dayn, when you do that, when you make that, it's your thing. It's ready to send out. What is that like? Oh shit moment like that you're going, oh my God, this is mine. Like, here it goes to the world.
Yeah. So I remember the day he called me. He was filling the last barrel with the White Dog and he was sipping on it and he was crying. He was so happy how good it tasted and how the aromas coming off of the White Dog were very floral and very sweet. And he was filling up the barrel, sipping it on the White Dog. And I wish I could have been there, but he was like, Dad, it's amazing. I'm so happy. And I didn't get to try it until about 6 months later. But when I first tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And we get a lot of Scotch drinkers loving that particular rye. It's made with a different yeast than our regular rye, so it presents itself a little different. It's 100 proof, again, very smooth, easy to drink, but like I was saying, it tends to favor to the experienced Scotch drinkers. They try our rye for the first time. They're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. Like, what's the mash bill on that? And it's the same mash bill, 70, 20, 10, but it just goes to show you use different yeast, a different barrel and different water. It's made in a different distillery. How much the flavor profile can change from one product to the next, even with the same mash bill. And, like I'm so proud of that product. He's right. Mark called us last week. He said the last of the limited edition cup bottles have been sold, so they're all gone now. Whatever's on the shelves, that's the end of it. So thankfully, I grabbed quite a few of them for our family. But
Thank you.
He's right. We do have 2 barrels left, and one of those barrels is hopefully going to go to Canada. There'll be about 230 bottles out of a barrel, so only 230 bottles will go to Canada. I'm sure they'll get nabbed up right away. Yeah. And then the other barrel we're going to save, maybe let it age to 10 years and create something really, really special for that 10-year limited edition that Dayn did himself. We'll do something special, maybe with a new bottle, a new label, and we'll come up with something really unique for sure. But Dayn's got the bottle there right now, so go ahead.
That's a special edition one.
Yeah, it comes. Thank you, Dad, for that. That was freaking lights out. Shutout after shutout, baby. So we came up with this beautiful package. It has the harlequin pattern which is our corporate logo, and has the eagle in it. And inside, it has a nice little write up, a little bit more about what we did. And of course, it's got a beautiful, shiny, nice metallic label, whitish silver, and of course, representing the chalice on top proudly. And it really is something. I got to make this on Carl distilling equipment, which is German manufactured and engineered. And it's really cool because to start, I got to finish these on pot stills. So whereas bourbon is traditionally, rocking and rolling on something old school, like a good old double thumper when you're by the creek and the stream in the back. But, now we use columns and Vendome, brass and copper. They make some of the best distilling equipment around for, 200 years. And so the process to make bourbon, I'm just running it through the doubler, and which kind of acts kind of like a pot, but it doesn't have the exact same shape, which I believe, and the Scotsmen will probably tell you, the whiskey hats on top and the shape of the pot stills really are reflective to how clean and how flavorful the product tastes. So I really got to learn traditionally from the start, and like Dad was saying, when it got done, I was crying, and the White Lightning was so nice and floral and earthy, and it just went so well with the barrel. And it has some lovely, like, green apple peel and pear aromatic presence, and a nice fruity, smoky body, and that smoky lingering finish. And Dad's right, the Scotch drinkers do enjoy our limited edition rye whiskey, and it's so reflective to how I got started. As I was telling you, I compared Glenfiddich, Levitt, and Morangi 18, and that was my start. And then when this thing came out, matured, I was like, oh my gosh, what a tribute to how my education and curiosity really started. So I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out.
That's so cool, man. I mean, what a beautiful bottle for one, and it's cool. You're getting that crossover from Scotch, because I think, Scotch drinkers, I think it's like bourbon drinkers try the Scotch and they're not quite sure what they're into.
Yeah.
So to get that crossover from Scotch, I think is really cool.
Completely agree, Tony. I think rye drinkers, I think they're a little bit more natural towards that Scotch area. Just
Sure.
naturally, I think a rye drinker naturally will cater more to a Scotch drinker and vice versa over a bourbon drinker.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the sweetness might not translate as much for the bourbon.
Completely agree with that, Tony. Completely agree.
One of the things, like Ed, I brought up earlier, your transition to number 20 for Tretiak, and some of the things that I think have the impact from hockey, the people you've been around. I know I've listened to one interview that you had done, and you were talking about a bottle that was made specifically for, I can't remember the name, I apologize, but I think it was a gentleman who was at North Dakota, was a goalie, I think maybe before you, he had namesake of the arena. Was that what it was?
Ralph Engelstad.
Is that
so? Ralph Engelstad is the one. He was a former goalie, played for the Sioux. I think he was more of a backup goalie, but he was one of those guys who just accepted his role and he supported the team. And he went on after he graduated from North Dakota, and he made his money in Las Vegas in the construction world, I believe, and a casino. Well, the arena that I played in was called the Ralph Engelstad Arena, that he donated, I don't know how many millions of dollars to build that arena. And then when we won the cup in '99, we had the Stanley Cup there, and they had just won, the Sioux had just won the Western Conference Final Cup there in the NCAA. And so we had the groundbreaking ceremony with Ralph Engelstad for the new Ralph. And he donated, I think, $150 million to build this arena. It's amazing. I don't think there's a better arena in the world than the home of the Fighting Sioux Arena. And, there's granite everywhere with the Sioux head. All the seats have the Sioux head. It's everywhere. They have the best locker room I've ever seen in all of sports. Wow. And they really go out of their way to, promote and pay tribute to all the former athletes, all the award winners and the fellas that were draft picks and went on to have great NHL careers. And, every time you come to a game, they just make you feel so welcome and so, at home. It's just, they never forget you. It's a big family. And Ralph Engelstad had a huge part to do with that. And always thankful to Ralph. He was there that day. We brought the cup, and it was great to see him.
That's awesome. Now, again, I don't want to keep you guys all day, but I feel like I could. What's the, I know you talked about potentially, or in the future, the, distilling in Texas. Do you guys have a timeline for that?
Yeah, we're hoping to have our building up and running within 2 years. It takes about 6 months to plan one, go through all the, formalities you have to go through with the city and the county. Again, we're going to be designing it for that specific piece of property for that city. So there's some rules that we have to work around. That takes about 6 to 8 months. And then it's about a year to a year and a half build. So if we get good weather and everything goes according to plan and everything runs smoothly, we could be, a year and a half to 2 years, we'll have our grand opening and have a big party at Belfour Spirits. And we look forward to throwing a great party. That's for sure.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's inevitable. We're definitely going to be throwing one hell of a shaker, and everyone's invited.
Stogie's whiskey and barbecue.
Oh my gosh, it's Texas brisket down here. I'll tell you, it's tough to beat, guys. It really is.
I can't. I'm in.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get an invite, Tony. Absolutely.
Hey, let me know. I'll be
bet.
there. Anything bottling wise in the future that you guys would like to get the word out on by chance?
Yeah, Dad, let everybody know what's coming right around the corner, probably summertime here.
Yeah, so we've been working on, for the last 6 months, our straight bourbon, but it's going to be a small batch. So what we're going to come out with is a small batch straight bourbon. It's going to be 100.5 proof. It's going to have a beautiful gold label, and I can't wait to get it on the shelves here. Sometime in May is what I'm told it'll end up hitting the shelves. We're so excited about that. It's our first straight bourbon product that we're going to enter the market with. Been doing a lot of tastings with it and get a lot of compliments of how much character it has and how smooth it is and easy to drink. Again, it's 100.5 proof, so it's up there in proof point.
Wow, congratulations on that. That's really cool. It's awesome to hear that there's more things being developed and you guys are enjoying what you're doing. I think especially as a family, you got your daughter involved as well. I mean, what a cool thing for you guys to be able to do together.
Yeah, it is. And we really appreciate the opportunity to share our brand with you today, Tony, and all your followers. And, it means so much to us that people enjoy our whiskey.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and get the word out, man, because it's really good whiskey. It's not, like there's some that are, I respect the fact that people are trying to put out whiskey and nobody's trying to put out bad whiskey and everybody's palate's different, but this is very good whiskey. There's a lot of complexity to it. And I think it just fights off that stigma of young bourbon. And I think that's really cool. And people get caught up in what's the number say on the bottle. And it's nice when you have that age stated bottle, and you don't need to have it though to enjoy a good bottle of whiskey.
I couldn't have said that any better, Tony, for others that, I can reflect and represent for in the industry. That was so perfectly said, because at the end of the day, the juice is either worth the squeeze or it's not. And if it drinks good for you, well, hot damn, let's clink glasses together and pour another one, like that's what it's all about, dude.
Oh, I'm with you. All right. Last thing I want to ask you real quick. Oh, of course. Your website, you mentioned a goal for you guys about advancing hockey and supporting veterans and also abused and neglected dogs. Can you guys tell me a little bit about that? I think that was that part of it tied it in for me. I was like, man, they are hitting the big things that are really important and very cool for you guys.
Yeah, well, I believe every day we wake up and the freedoms we have in Canada and the US, it goes to our militaries and all of our veterans that gave their lives to our freedoms that we have. And, I'm so thankful. Our family's so thankful. All of my friends are the same way. So we go out of our way to support the military in any way possible, all the veterans. We want to continue to do that. It makes me sick when I see athletes taking a knee to the national anthem and, throwing the American flag on the ground. And it makes me just sick to my stomach to see these spoiled athletes doing that and disgracing our country and our flag. And, I don't think they realize how many people sacrificed and families sacrificed their lives for our freedoms, and for them to actually be on the field playing such a great sport. It doesn't matter what sport we're playing, but being able to play that sport is a privilege that they gave their lives for. So we're all about that. We also love dogs in particular. And we had 12 rescue dogs at one point. At some point in the future, we want to build a rescue and health facility for dogs. Wow. Sometime in the future here in Texas. We still have a couple of our rescues. There's one right there.
There he is.
Copper, hey buddy. He's a good boy.
He never left, man. He stuck with me forever. This is my best buddy, Tony.
Yeah. I'm trying to get I try to mute myself so I get my dog over here so we can, have a dog moment.
Your little
here.
Frenchie.
Yeah. So I know you were telling me about you had Boston Terriers, right? Before, and yeah, they're great. My wife and I got a French bulldog when she was a couple months old, and they're just the absolute best.
Yeah, we love dogs, so we want to do that at some point, and we also try to help out whenever we can. former hockey players that may need some help. We reach out in as many ways as possible. Throughout my career, I was also involved with Make-A-Wish. So,
cool.
Young kids that, have health issues, I've always been supportive of that. And, at some point in the future, we'd like to also create an orphanage, for kids that don't have parents or lost their parents, and, try and give them, a great start to life with a good education, and people are going to support and love them and see them through, to maybe some of their dreams of being a professional athlete or a musician, or, whatever their dreams may be. We're going to help support that also. So there's many things that we want to do with the profits that we make from Belfour Spirits to help give back to this world.
That's great. I wish you guys all the best. I mean, you guys are outstanding. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate your whiskey. Where can people find you guys on social media?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
belfourspirits.com. There is a search engine on our website where you can go to find our spirits. You put in your zip code and it'll tell you where the closest place is to buy our spirits.
Mm-hmm.
We're on Facebook and Instagram, of course, and you can pretty much find us anywhere on those social platforms. And we're doing podcasts, and we do tastings. We do as many get-togethers as possible. Out there with the public too.
That's great, man. Well, you guys, Ed, Dayn, really, really appreciate your time. This has been outstanding. I really appreciated our conversation, and I really can't thank you enough for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks
Awesome.
for having us,
Tony. Really
appreciate
you guys.
All right, guys, take care.
Thank you.